My name is Nadav Tamir. I'm the executive director of J Street in Israel. I'm also the advisor for international affairs for the Paris Center for Peace and Innovation. I'm involved with the Mitvim think tank and with the Geneva Initiative and a part of the USF coalition. I do believe that the tragedy of October 7th for both Israelis and Palestinians actually created a huge opportunity because of the sense of urgency in the world and in the region that what happened there doesn't stay there. And there's much more, the world approach it in a sense of let's get to it. Let's not just leave it to Israelis and Palestinians. That's huge. But we needed someone like Trump that actually understand that the biggest obstacle to any movement from the tragedy into the opportunity is Netanyahu, the Israeli government. However, Trump is also someone who's not very into details, so there's a lot of holes in this plan. But we have to use the opportunity that he really wants for his own interest, not necessarily my interest or my values, but for his own interest. He wants what's good for Israelis and Palestinians in terms of stopping the war, releasing the hostages, and moving into a diplomatic approach. And our role now is to try to fill the holes and to make sure that Trump doesn't lose attention and focus on this. Well, first of all, we have to make sure that we use this opportunity to really create a political horizon for an end of conflict, which has to include a Palestinian state. For that to happen, the partners of Trump in the region, those who have leverage with Trump, have to make sure that they don't throw the Palestinians under the bus like they did in the Abraham Accords. And that is critical. Otherwise, we're not solving anything. It's just another round and there will be more. In order to prevent another October 7th and to bring peace and stability, we have to make sure that we're going into what we call in J Street the 23-state solution, which is Israel as part of the region with a Palestinian state next to it, facing together the jihadists of all kinds, but also working for integration of everybody. Well, we're focusing on American politics. We're focusing on the fact that most American Jews are actually where we are, which is to be progressive Zionists, to be pro-Israel, pro-peace, pro-democracy, but to turn it into political influence that eventually will influence American foreign affairs and foreign diplomacy. We feel that now most of the Democrats are where we are, and most of the Jews are where we are, but it's not necessarily translated into political power. And this is what we need. And we need everybody who could help us to show those who still think that this move is against Israel, to understand that this is actually the most pro-Zionist you could do to create a Palestinian state. Well, many people cannot make the distinction between Israel and its government. I think we have an opportunity now, also because of Trump, because so many Americans who care deeply about America but doesn't agree with Trump, starting to understand that you need this distinction. But for many American Jews, for years, it was no. If you are critical of Israel policies, you're critical of Israel, or if some people even would call you anti-Semite. So we have to make sure that people understand that criticizing the Israeli government's position, especially this very right-wing government, comes from love for Israel and actually could help move Israel into a much better future. So to those who are skeptical about the possibility to get to a two-state solution, I can tell you not only that it is possible, it is inevitable, because the alternative is so horrible. The alternative will mean that there will be no Jewish homeland, a democratic Jewish homeland forever, because we will have to choose between an apartheid state or another Arab state, and it is possible. There are plans for what to do with the settlements, for what to do with the refugees, for what to do with Jerusalem, for what to do with security. And it's all much easier with the current regional context and with the support of the international community. So I really suggest to people to understand that the biggest threat to the two-state solution is not the details, it is the political will. And Trump actually provides us the political will because the right wing in Israel admire him. And that way he has so much more leverage than any democratic administration, which I much more connect with values-wise, would ever had. I want to say to people that there's a lot of despair among liberals, among progressives, because of the Israeli government and because of the Trump administration in the US. But I think that we do have an opportunity. And the same Israeli public that was traumatized after 73 war eventually supported the peace with Egypt. The same Israeli public that was traumatized after the first Intifada eventually supported Oslo, which led also to the peace with Jordan. So I ask people not to despair, but to act in order to make things better. I do believe that United for Shared Future is one of the most strategic initiatives that I've seen. And I'm in this business for a long time. And many times we feel very nice about just talking to Palestinians. But this is much more. This is an attempt to really change the reality, to speak with the international players, to speak with the Israelis and the Palestinians in a very, very concrete way. And with the leadership of Hiba Kassas, who's just an amazing leader, I believe that this coalition is much more effective than any another coalition, and I've been in many through my professional life.